Don't laugh at me, but when I started doing videos reaction and I heard black folks texting me, talking to me, I heard these stereotypes that anyone who's talking to me from America, this guy is filthy rich, man. Don't laugh at me, please. The way we were told that the black Americans have everything, but they keep on complaining. But when I dug down, I noticed the potholes we have in America. I noticed how difficult it is to be or to live in America. I noticed how it is hard to get a meal in America. I know how you have to work many hours for you to get a decent pay. I know how it is hard for black Americans to get education in the United States of America. I know how it is hard for American blacks just to get health services. I know how it's expensive right now. I know how it's hard for the hoods where black people come from, how police brutality, segregation, and equality is all about. Right now, I know that, and I'm sorry to my black Americans people. I'm sorry how I portrayed you first. It was just a stereotype. The story I'm going to share today, or the topic I'm going to speak about today, is about us black folks from everywhere in the world. It's about Africans versus Africans in diaspora, or Africans versus Caribbeans, or Africans versus American blacks, you know. Each time I go to the social media, the TikTok videos, Instagram, I see videos of some black Americans saying that they do not, or Africans, they don't care about them, or they hate them. I see videos of African Americans saying that Africans, they hate African Americans. I see videos of Africans saying that black Americans, they are like this and like that. Before I go deeper into this video, as a boy or a man from Africa, I just want to tell you, these things that we talk on the social medias are the things that are killing us softly. They are the things that they want us to talk about. These are the things that they want us to think, so that we as black people, we may not or may never be united. Have you ever asked yourself why more than 500 years black Americans have been suffering? Africans, more than 1,000 years we have been suffering. Have you ever asked yourself that why as black people we have been suffering since the time of colonization, slavery, up to now, we are still suffering? Have you ever asked yourself that? Have you ever asked yourself why black people cannot become superior anytime soon, or we have never been superior? Have you ever asked yourself that African continent is the richest continent and we are a third world continent? We are poor. Have you ever asked yourself why? Have you ever asked yourself why we have political instabilities in Africa? Each and every time that a leader wants to be a president, we must have a fight. Have you ever asked yourself why the richest country in Africa, like Congo, they're the ones suffering the most? It's because of what we are saying on the medias, that we as black people, we don't love each other. It's what we are saying, that African Americans, they're full of themselves. It's this what we say, that Africans don't love African Americans. By saying this and by having this in mind, we as black people, we will never come up glorious. We will never come up winners. We will never be above. We will only always be below. Now, Africans, we were lied. Africans, we were lied. And we were lied about who? About Africans Americans. We were lied about Africans diaspora. We were lied about Caribbeans. We see in schools in history, there's some things we are reading and we see in articles, stereotypes we were told about Africans in diaspora. And that is the reason why we have never become victorious. And that is the reason why we as black people, we have never been united, simply because African Americans are lied of black people, or are lied of Africans. On the other hand, Africans are lied of Africans Americans, or Africans in diaspora. Now, the African people grow up with a certain view of black people, or black Americans, or diaspora people. Right now, I was in the street doing street interviews. And upon doing street interviews, I was interviewing youths between 18 years to 25 years. And some videos, I asked them what they think about African Americans. Number one, they don't know anything about African America. Number two, they know that African Americans have this negative perspective that I'm going to tell you here. Hear me. They don't know anything about African American because we have never been taught that Africans in diaspora, they are our brothers. They have never taught us that Caribbean people are our brothers. They have never taught us that black Americans are our brothers. They have never taught us that Latino or Afro-Latino are part of black people or Africans. They have never told us. What they tell us is division, division, and division. So, Africans, Americans, we were told some things about black Americans, or Africans diaspora, or African Americans, and we have negative stereotypes and positive stereotypes. I'm going to focus first on the negative stereotypes. One thing we were told about African Americans is, first of all, the stereotypes that is spread by the media, articles, movies, music. One thing is many Africans grew up consuming Western media. You know that. Many Africans grew up consuming African media that often depicted black Americans in negative way, associating with them with crime, drugs, and poverty. Okay? Negative stereotype is spread to us through media that Africans, Americans, they are into, or they're associating themselves into drugs, crimes, and poverty. Number one, they will show you the places where African Americans are living. There's no good, conducive environment. Filthy. They will show you on videos, on movies, how Africans, Americans are struggling to earn a living, or to get a living in the United States or everywhere in the world. They will show you how on the movies that black people, black Americans are drug dealers. Every black American is a drug dealer. They will show you that when you see a black American, you have to see a drug dealer. When you see a Latino, you see a drug dealer. When you see a black American, you see a criminal. When you see a Latino, you see a criminal. That's what they taught us. And I wonder why Latinos are behaving like they want to be so close to the white folks, but we are all the same. How they perceive us, they perceive Latinos too, the same way. I grew up watching movies. I grew up watching BBC News. I grew up watching videos from, because televisions, we had no local medias. We only have international. And we could see how African Americans on the videos selling drugs, or, police has arrested them because of drugs. A lot of things. We see them fighting everywhere. In the street, we see them having guns and everything. But this is one of the stereotypes that they showed to us Africans. Let me tell you, wacha niseme nitoke. Let me tell you today, this video is not about reaction. I'm telling you something that I know a lot of Africans think about. When Africans see an African American, he thinks about crime, he thinks about drug, he thinks about poverty. Because regions or states where were portrayed as the states of black people, it was full of poverty, like no decent people there. That's how the media portrayed the narrative of American black. That's wrong. And that's why you see there is stories up to now in the media, because there is someone who grew up, is 65 years old or 55 years old from Africa, but still knows that black Americans are criminals. Another thing, when you see the Hollywood movies, Western news, I've told you that we grew up watching Hollywood, watching Western news, and it just highlighted American blacks. It rarely highlighted American blacks' achievement. It rarely highlighted black Americans who are wealthy. You know, all it was just highlighting the struggles of black Americans. Only that. That is a stereotype that we bought and we carry. Another thing is a lost culture narrative. Now, some Africans were told that black Americans had lost their original culture due to slavery and were disconnected from their African roots. That is the truth. I was told that by one of my grandparents. I was told that the people, the slavery or the black Americans, they have disconnected themselves from African roots. And there's a way I was viewing African Americans like the people who run from their countries and they don't want to return back. Or I grew up knowing that these people or these black Americans, they went to America due to slavery, transatlantic slave trade. It's okay. It is bad thing happened to them. But right now, it's no more. There is no more slavery, but they don't want to come back home. So I was a young boy, and I was reasoning as a young man, a young boy, and I was thinking that African Americans, they don't want to come back. They hate Africa. They have lost their culture. They just want to live like a white man. That's what I thought. But deep down, this is just a stereotype. It is just the way I see black Americans and Africans in diaspora, Caribbeans, Jamaicans, I see Haitians, I see Trinidad and Tobago people. They want to learn Swahili. They want to reconnect with the motherland. I see Grenadians, they're talking about Africa. I'm like, wow, that was a big lie. I was told that my brothers, they disconnected themselves. That narrative led to some Africans to see black Americans as people without a true identity of history. Someone who is about history, someone who is following history will view a black American as someone without identity or without history. And that is a stereotype. We were told about that black Americans complain too much despite living in a wealthy and developed country. We are told that black Americans complain too much. And some Africans, they move from here, they go there, and they complain too. You know, the good thing of being an adult is that you will try. Because if they tell you this is bad, you will try to see that. But we were told black Americans, they complain too much. And they are living in the land of honey and milk. We were told that America is a land of honey and milk. Don't laugh at me, but when I started doing videos reaction and I heard black folks texting me, talking to me, I heard these stereotypes that anyone who's talking to me from America, this guy is filthy rich, man. Don't laugh at me, please. I was told that way I was thinking, I heard that the black Americans, this guy are filthy rich. Yes, we have rich black Americans, but the way we were told that these guys or the black Americans have everything, but they keep on complaining. So once you see a black American, you know he is rich and he will just complain. But when I dug down, I noticed the potholes we have in America. I noticed how difficult it is to be or to live in America. I noticed how it is hard to get a meal in America. I know how you have to work many hours for you to get a decent pay. I know how it is hard for black Americans to get education in the United States of America. I know how it is hard for American blacks just to get health services. I know how it's expensive right now. I know how it's hard for the hoods where black people come from, how police brutality, segregation, and equality is all about. Right now, I know that, and I'm sorry to my black Americans people. I'm sorry how I portrayed you first. It was just a stereotype. I'm sorry of how I thought of you. That was just a stereotype. But right now, I know a lot of you, my brothers. And I'm sorry for thinking that you complain too much. Yet you are living in a country of honey and milk. A country that dreams big. A country you only drink milk. I'm sorry to believe the stereotypes from the media. It's not me. I was watching Hollywood. I was watching, Western news, because that is what was only in Africa. In Kenya, we only had this. And I'm sorry for that. But right now, I know better. And I'm telling all African people, Black Americans are not bad. The stereotypes we learn or we read out here, we need to verify. And right now, we have social media. We can talk to our Black American brothers and they can tell us what it is in the ground. Because the struggles of Black Americans, such as racism, police brutality, systematic discrimination, these were dismissed or downplayed on what we were being taught. They never told us the reality. They never told us the reality. Personally, the reality, I've just known the reality of Black Americans when I started reacting on these videos or when I started doing videos. That's when I knew what is happening. But I never knew that. Now, some narratives suggest that Africans look down on Black Americans for not knowing their specific ethnic origins or for not embracing African traditions. That is right. That is our biggest stereotype. And upon being stereotypes, I think some Africans too, they think that African Americans, they don't know where they came from or specific their origin. So there's a way some Africans are seeing themselves as boga. They are seeing themselves as the true Africans or true Israelites because they have their ethnic group. They can trace where they come from. They have the ancestral land and everything. But Black Americans, they don't know that. It's a stereotype, but some Africans too, they think of that. And we have been being taught this. So this is a view that is a bad view. And it's making us as Africans and African Americans not to love more each other. One of the stereotypes that we have right now is that Africans or Black Americans, they don't like Africans. Some Africans were told that Black Americans were seen as inferior, mock their accent, or view them as outsider. That's what I was talking about. We were told that. So, the idea has been reinforced by some real-life tension, but it does not represent the full reality of African Black Americans' relation. So, we were told that Black Americans don't like Africans because they hate maybe, but no, that is just a stereotype, okay? One of the other perspectives is that, let me tell you, this will make you laugh. This will make you laugh. One perspective is that Black Americans are wealthy and generous. That is a stereotype. We are told that. This is a stereotype. And when an African see a Black American wants to be, send me dollar, send me dollar, send me dollar. It's never like that. You go from Africa, go to Black American country, go to America and send dollar to the people. Yes. So, African people, we were lied to about Black Americans. We were lied to how Black Americans like complaining, how Black Americans are like this, how Black Americans are like that. And we bought the story because we only have one single media, Western media. And we only had one wood, which was Hollywood. There is no any other wood. So we believe what we saw on the media and we believe what we were told and what they taught us. And this is one thing that is making us as African or Black people not to like each other. And the issue of not liking each other again is still a stereotype. Yeah. Okay, tell me what you think in the comment section because I think I just spoken my opinion. I don't know what's your opinion. Tell me what you think. If you are watching from Africa, what were you lied to about Black Americans? And if you are a Black American or a Caribbean, a Jamaican, tell me what were you lied about Africans. Okay, until next episode, peace out.